I wanted to have my first clip thoughts so far on Glass Houses. I am maybe 6 chapters in, and so far it's really just very funny how I actually prefer the character around my age. Rosie. I feel like Jenna would have been very relatable to a past me, and then Rosie's almost more of like current me, brain thoughts vibes. I think she's 29. I think the guy she's sort of seeing is 26 or 7. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I tend to end up going into a lot of these books with very little understanding of what the plot is supposed to be. Most of what I understand is what I've seen on Melanie's channel for the most part, and then a little bit of like reading the blurb. I like to kind of remain mostly surprised by what's going to come. I just find it more interesting to play it that way, I guess. What I basically know is it's a book about 2 sisters who have a lot of mental health issues, family trauma, fucked up, broken down relationships of all kinds, and obviously something about this greenhouse. I think I've only just like caught up to the part where the greenhouse finally like comes into the plot. I am really curious about how this is going to go, because I don't know, I don't think I realised quite how young the younger sister was going to be. I thought maybe they would both be a bit older, mid to late 20s, but it seems like Jenna is, she did say, it has been said in the book, I think it was 22, maybe 23, I can't remember. And like, I'm not going to lie, I hope that Rosie and this guy can work it out and get it together, because I think they would be a cute couple, like an official one. Because I think the idea isn't that it's not that she doesn't want a relationship, it's just that she doesn't really want one now. Especially seeing as her life has kind of gone in a complete different direction to what she had planned. Which honestly is such a vibe that I can relate to. I'm also very curious about how disability is being approached, like physical disability, because the sisters have a disabled mum, and whilst, you know, it's not that I don't think anyone should ever write about family members of disabled people and their point of view and stuff, because I feel like most of the point of this book is not about her, and that it's just one of many layers. So I'm hoping that that's kind of how it continues to be, is that the plot line of the mum having a disability that means she needs to be cared for by staff and her kids and stuff will just be maybe like a nice eye-opener for maybe some readers of like, hey, actually this happens quite a lot. This is what it's like having a disabled parent when you're still actually pretty young, because these characters are still in their 20s. So yeah, just curious how that's going to go. But so far I have reasonable faith in Melanie Murphy's writing and the kind of plots that she uses and how she creates them. And that's also my only sort of prior experience of this book, is I have read Melanie's other books. So that's what I have for now. Hopefully I'll get a decent amount of reading done over this weekend whilst I'm sort of away with my mum for the weekend, and I can get this up for publication day. Exciting. I just wanted to let you know that I am having a great time. All of the characters are so multiply layered and interesting, including like the people you don't see the point of view of. And like, I don't know, I just feel like I've picked the right writer for getting into adult fiction. I think I've said this numerous times, but because I follow Melanie Murphy on YouTube and stuff, and I've been watching her for years, you kind of have like a pre-understanding or pre-notion of like what the content's going to be like in a way, even though I kind of went into this not knowing too much because I like to be surprised. There's just something about what Melanie Murphy makes that I really enjoy, regardless of like what kind of medium it's in. I enjoyed her debut, If Only, a lot. I really enjoyed the elements she weaved together in that were kind of magical too, but also like the sensation of reading characters who, you know, were like closer to my age, were having like real life problems I can relate to. Ignore my mess in all corners of my room. So I'm like at 48% of glass houses. It's getting interesting. It's getting dishy. I really love the main premise of this story, where a bunch of mentally ill people basically create their own gardening group, and they've all committed to going and doing this gardening one day a week, so like Saturday, for 7 months. Something about gardening itself generally as a hobby is supposed to be very good, therapeutic, great for mindfulness kind of vibes, but this was all basically predicted by David, who is the GP, the retired GP, his wife June, who he kind of basically unofficially diagnosed with ADHD vibes, and she's like a hippie, spiritual, kind of witchy person basically, and she felt like she could, I don't know, tap into the universe or something like that, which also another vibe, same, my dude. But she's dead now and they're trying to do this project that she kind of already knew about, and I love the slow progress of like the magical elements kind of coming into this, because until maybe the last couple of chapters this could be completely realism, this could be completely like real life contemporary vibes, just that this one particular character has some kind of like relationship with spirituality, you know, like there are plenty of books like that, there are plenty of characters and plots like that, but then it's literally this last chapter or two where you're starting to finally unravel some more about June and her connection with the universe and magic and things like that, because like she says this thing to her like nurse, like I think the last thing she says to her nurse makes no sense to the other characters, but because you're reading these different points of view, Jenna and Rosie, and then like that tiny bit of David at the very beginning, you know the secret. Like it was just really fun to read the bit where David is relaying his life with his wife to Rosie, and quoted her like last words to her nurse, and you're like, or like I was anyway, I was like, oh my god, I know exactly what she means by that. But yeah, it does sound kind of weird and cryptic, because without all the context it just kind of sounds a bit like a little bit mad, you know? So I literally don't even know. I'm gonna try and continue reading today and get as much reading done as possible, because I'm a little bit behind when it comes to this vlog. This is Tuesday and I'm meant to be posting this on Thursday, because that's when the book comes out, and I thought it'd be a great lineup with my usual filming schedule anyway, filming and posting schedule, but here I am. I'm gonna go back to reading. Yeah, I don't know, my dude, that's kind of it. This is so weird to say, but I'm so proud of these fucking non-existent characters. I'm so proud of these not real people. Hi, where can I get some of this in real life? I love them so much. I'm at 84%. Just the drama, but also like how all these characters have grown. I love them so much. Especially Rosie. Sos babes, but like Rosie is my fave. Well, I finished the book. Like, it's very difficult to put into words how I feel, but I'll start with, I was having a Zoom call last night with one of my friends and I ended up basically recommending this book to her even though I hadn't actually quite finished it yet. So that's how I feel about the book, is that I was already recommending it to people. I recommended it to my mum a few days ago as well, before I even finished the book. So my main thoughts are the representation of the disabled mum was great, honestly. I don't feel like there was anything particularly ableist or toxic positivity or, you know, anything like that involved in any of the plotline really around the disabled mother. And I think it was nice to see some conversation around Jenna's fear of growing older and becoming disabled, and kind of looking that fear in the face and basically kind of getting over it. I feel like that's something that's lacking in a lot of fiction that ends up being written about disabled characters, and I really appreciated the reality of what it is like to be a carer, especially when it's like to a family member, and having that as a conversation in the book as well. I just still love the premise of this like local gardening group for the mentally ill. It's something that I would like to join, you know, a vibe. Friends, mentally ill friends, if you want to come over my house and do some gardening, I'm free. I liked the diversity of the different kinds of characters we had. Everyone was very different to each other. The sisters were very different, but also the same, you know, in that sort of like family sense. I really enjoyed reading how hypocritical these sisters were, because when you lack self-reflection, you can be very critical of other people for doing things that you also are doing, but you have no like ability to see that you're doing those things too, and that you also have to work on that. I really enjoyed the dynamic of the sisters, because like even though they had a falling out, they've not really seen or spoken to each other in a long time, they have a lot of resentment towards each other for their own reasons, but like when Jenna turns up on Rosie's doorstep, Rosie lets her in, lets her live there, and starts doing these things without words for her sister. So like her sister's a vegetarian, so she starts adapting the things that she's buying in the house. She allows this manky smelly old cat into her like nice pristine house, and sort of just puts up with it, deals with it, cleans up after that and her sister. And I kind of just love that this book unravels all of these different connections with all these people. Whether that's magic or not is kind of like half the fun as well. I think it's really enjoyable for people who do believe in like supernatural, spiritual stuff, but also people who don't and are very superstitious. Not superstitious, that's the wrong word completely. Skeptics, that's the one. I was like, wait, no. Because it can be interpreted either way. There's no particular answer to how has all this happened? Is it just coincidence? Is it magic? Up to you. And I really like that that's kind of open to the reader to kind of like decide. I also just really appreciated seeing like modern problems in a book. I feel like a lot of books about mental health, or like characters with mental health issues, can tend to dip into kind of stereotypical territory, and it was really nice to see that even though a lot of these characters had their own very different problems and causes and traumas like of all their issues, a lot of them could see similarities in other characters in the group. So like Nathan, who is Pete's friend, is very untrusting, cannot trust anybody with anything, cannot forgive something awful that happened to him, which, not gonna lie, don't blame you, my dude. And whilst he sees that in Rosie, he doesn't trust Rosie to not hurt his friend, but he can relate to her enough to kind of see her side of it as well and make a decision to help Jenna. And it's nice to kind of see the peer support involved in it. It's not just the doctor and the patients, it's kind of everyone is there to work and help each other together. So it was really a nice little sense of community building through the whole book. And like, of course, there are some like horrendous things that happen, some really big secrets that come out of the dark that really mess things up between some of these characters. But by the end of it all, they've all come so far from their like pre-gardening selves to the end of the book, that they've grown so much as people and acquired so many new like coping mechanisms, communication skills, all that sort of thing. I just keep thinking to myself, I wish this was a thing that was like more common in real life as well, because like these characters are so flawed and messed up and fragile, but working through all of their shit to the end of the book, and it's kind of like goes with the whole blooming metaphor, like the garden has bloomed by the end of it and so have all these people. Yay. It really just feels like a lot of these people have settled into themselves and into their new life and their new way of seeing the world, that I just wish, I don't know, I just want some community gardening like groups and like these peer support vibes. Like I really enjoyed, like just really enjoyed seeing all that in this book. And I think this book was a fun way of reimagining like a typical situation. Oh, also like I really loved Alice so much as well. Like she was silent throughout basically the whole book, but then when you get to learn more about her, I loved her so much. Like the fact that she was really open about what happened to her that caused her to be silent for so many years and not really speak to people, and then also like what she wants in life or wanted in life, and how she kind of saw some of these women at the gardening group as like nieces or daughters that she never had and stuff like that. But like I really enjoyed her character just having the confidence to be and live alone. Depending on who you are as a reader, you could read her as like aromantic or asexual, but it's not necessarily specified. She does sort of say like, I don't know, I'm just me. You could also maybe read it as gay, which is like one of the characters does ask, but it's kind of open to interpretation of the reader again. But I just appreciate that that was included, that there's a older woman there who was kind of like seen as the weird one for not having a husband or not wanting a husband. I just really appreciate that, like that little added detail for that character. So even though she wasn't one of the two main narratives, I think it was also like a really nice way of granting permission to one of the sisters that you don't have to be with someone to be happy. You don't have to settle down to be considered successful and happy in your life, and you don't have to do that if you want kids. You can just do your own thing. You can just go and have your own kids. Yeah, so there were just so many aspects to the book that I really enjoyed, and I don't think I could really go into any or many of them much more because it would just be too many spoilers for it. But it really had the satisfactory feeling of when you read a mystery, when you finally put all the pieces together and like all the cogs then are moving at the same time and you're like, oh my god. I think that's why it's so enjoyable to read. Is it magic? Because these coincidences are a little bit too spooky, you know, but it also could just be coincidence. Yeah, I really enjoyed these characters so much. It's definitely a book I will have to buy my own copy of to read again in the future. Yeah, I don't know. It's very heartwarming, but it is also very sad at points. There's obviously a lot of sadness. There are some trigger warnings at the beginning of the book, which I thought was nice. Not many books even now are including things like that. Death, both humans and animals, is experienced in this book like numerous times. Mentions of child death too. Self-harm and suicide are talked about as well. I feel like the eating disorder stuff is relatively mild, but there is mentions of eating disorders and body size and things like that, but nothing like numbers. Revenge porn is another one that comes up, and some hints at SA, the R words, those sorts of things. I don't really remember much detail being talked about them, just kind of mentions. And like sort of online stalking and harassment is sort of a big one. But yeah, so the book is officially out today. I will link in the description where you can buy or order a copy of the book. If you use my bookshop link, I also get a tiny amount of money from that. So if you want to help me too. But yeah, I just thought this was a really great book. Absolute roller coaster, but I just really felt like it was a very well thought out and padded out story. Characters, all of the vibes were there. The vibes were there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've tried to avoid too many big spoilers, so people can have a watch and see if they want to pick up a copy of this book. I've tried to avoid some of the bigger plot points though. Give my video a like, subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos of me. I occasionally do reading vlogs of books I'm really enjoying or books I've been really excited about, but otherwise I talk about queer, trans things, disability things, whatever takes me fancy, to be honest, you know. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you've also read the book, let's have a chat about it. Let's chat about it. Because I have no one to talk to now. Now I've read it. Nobody else I know has read it, so just here by myself. Leave a comment down below. And I'll see you next week. Bye.